Who hired the faceless man Jaqen H'ghar, and who is his target? All the given evidence points to Illyrio and Varys as the ones who hired Jaqen. Faceless men are insanely expensive, so to hire one you really need two things: a ton of money, and a person who is a great threat to you or your plans. We know from A Dance with Dragons that Varys and Illyrio are trying to put Aegon on the throne, so the target should be a significant threat to Aegon or his claim. In Clash of Kings, Arya meets Jaqen, who's in a cage with two others pulled from the black cells of the Red Keep. They're headed for the Wall, so this suggests that the target is in the north or on the way. Keep in mind, Yoren is also working for Varys. He is how the Spider learns that Cat kidnapped Tyrion before Ned learns about it. He's also the one who Varys has sneaking Gendry out of King's Landing. We know Varys has free access to the Black Cells. We see this in Game of Thrones when he visits Ned during his imprisonment. So instructing Yoren to take Jaqen and the others and giving him his supplies to keep nearby is an easy plot for them to execute, and no one will be the wiser, including the bait for his target, Arya Stark. Now keep in mind, Arya was running around King's Landing a couple of months after the Lannisters had taken Ned and tossed him in the Black Cells. So when Yoren found Arya, he let Varys know, and Jaqen and company joined the group headed for the Wall. It appears to the Rita and to Arya that Jaqen has taken an interest in her. But in reality, Jaqen has known all along who she is, and he's actually hoping, as they travel to the north, his target comes to her aid, or that Yoren drops her off close to the target, enabling him to get close as well. Needless to say, things go awry, and Arya ends up saving Jaqen, Roarg, and Biter from burning to death when Lannister forces attack the group traveling on the way to the Wall. By chance, they both end up in Harrenhal, and Jaqen ends up soldiering for the Lannisters, while Arya ends up as a serving girl. One night, he sneaks into where she's sleeping, wakes her up, and we have the following quote: "The Red God has his due, sweet girl. Only death may pay for life. This girl took 3 lives that were his. Speak the names, and a man will do the rest." This is actually a ruse. Jaqen is hoping Arya will be brave enough to attempt to make her way back north, with him at her side. But instead, she asks him about helping her escape to Riverrun, which is definitely not going towards the north where his target is, so he tells her he won't help her, but he gives her the 3 kills anyway. Now this is kind of a strange situation to say the least. I mean, let's say somebody saves a dozen orphans from a burning orphanage, while a faceless man happens just to be passing by. Do they then get to list off a dozen names of people they want dead? It doesn't seem too likely. It seems more like this is a lie. Regardless, had she opted to escape and continue north, Jaqen would have aided her. His debt would be a legit reason to stay close to her as they travel, and he could have continued to use her as bait to draw out his target. Instead, Arya has him pick off enemies at Harrenhal, which isn't what he was hoping for, but we can get some valuable clues in his actions. First is Chiswick, who Arya has killed for bragging about raping an innkeeper's daughter. Jaqen kills him by tossing him off one of the walls of Harrenhal. The next one Arya names is Wheeze, who gets his throat torn out by his own dog. Jaqen doesn't tell Arya how he made it happen, and it's a mystery to her until she gets to the House of Black and White in Braavos and learns they can make a certain paste that induces madness in animals. Making the paste himself seems unlikely, as one of the key ingredients is basilisk blood. Now they are native to the southern continent, not to Westeros, so unless some just happen to be sitting around Harrenhal, Jaqen H'ghar must have gotten it someplace else. It is possible the Faceless Men work similar to MI6 from the James Bond movies, and Jaqen has the equivalent of Q resupplying him. But all indications are that they're supposed to be working in the field alone and expected to not need any assistance. This leaves only one option. He never had his supplies taken from him when he was supposedly a prisoner in the Black Cells. This is how we can figure out who his employers are: Varys and Illyrio. If Jaqen was a captive in the cells and given over to the Night's Watch, then he wouldn't have had his bag of tricks with him, which includes that basilisk paste and the coin he ends up giving Arya later on. The next time Arya has a conversation with Jaqen, it's in the Godswood of Harrenhal, and we get an interesting exchange. She regarded him suspiciously. Had the gods sent him? How did you make the dog kill Wheeze? Did you call Roarg and Biter up from hell? Is Jaqen H'ghar your true name? Some men have many names. Weasel, Ari, Arya. She backed away from him until she was pressed against the heart tree. Did Gendry tell? A man knows, he said again, my Lady of Stark. Now while he could have puzzled this out along the journey from King's Landing to Harrenhal, he actually already knew who she was before they even left King's Landing. Jaqen is again lying to make Arya think he puzzled it out. But Arya believes it, since Gendry also figured it out as well. What is significant is this scene takes place in the Godswood at Harrenhal, and Arya tricks Jaqen into swearing before the gods that he will kill whomever she names. Anyone, she repeated. A man, a woman, a little boy, or Lord Tywin, or the High Septon, or your father? A man's sire is long dead. But did he live, and did you know his name, he would die at your command. Swear it, Arya said. Swear it by the gods. By all the gods of sea and air, and even him of fire, I swear it. He placed a hand in the mouth of the weirwood. By the 7 new gods and the old gods beyond count, I swear it. She then names Jaqen H'ghar and is able to manipulate him into helping her free the captured Northmen in exchange for unnaming him. Jaqen introduces himself after freeing the Northmen to Sir Robert Glover, and this is the exact opposite of what he really wants. The assassin realizes he has to abandon his guise of Jaqen H'ghar, as this goes against the tactics of stealth, infiltration, and subterfuge the Faceless men employ, and he has to try and find another way to locate his target. His soldiering for the Lannister forces has also been a plot that hasn't worked out to find his target. The men who were captured are all Northerners and loyal to the Starks, but none of them were the one that Jaqen was looking for. Now this gives us a bit of a clue as to his target is. After all, Jaqen could have easily killed someone else, left the service of the Lannisters, and continued on his way. The only reason for him to remain soldiering for the Lannisters is if it serves his purpose of completing his mission. Now keep in mind, he never tried to find Arya when she, Lamy, Gendry, and Hot Pie were lost. They only met up again due to happenstance. So Jaqen more than likely agreed to help the Lannisters, as there was a chance they could capture his target he was hoping to lure out in the first place. When the Northmen are captured, Arya recalled seeing the following sigils. The Twin Towers, which would be House Frey, the Karkstark Sunburst, the Serwyn Battleaxe, and another sigil which she describes as a bloody man, which may have been mistaken for the flayed man of House Bolton. So his target isn't too likely to be a member of one of these houses. After all, if it was, he could have remained Jaqen, stayed, and more than likely gotten a chance to get closer to his target as a reward for freeing the Northmen. Instead, he changes his face, and the next we see of him, he is in a feast for crows in Old Town, claiming to be an alchemist, and tricking a novice of the Citadel named Pate into stealing a key for him that grants him access to all the rooms in the Citadel. Pate is killed, and in a later Samwell chapter, we see the Faceless man has assumed his identity. This is the same chapter where Sam meets Maester Marwyn, who shows him the glass candle that is burning, and he says to Sam, "The sorcerers of the Freehold could see across mountains, seas, and deserts. With one of those glass candles, they could enter a man's dreams and give him visions, and speak to one another half a world apart, seated before their candles. Do you think that might be useful, Slayer?" More than likely, the Faceless man is resorting to using that glass candle to locate his target, which suggests they're really hard to find. So who is the target? Well, let's go over the clues. Number 1, the target is loyal to the Starks. Number 2, most likely somewhere in the north. Number 3, not likely to be in Riverrun. Number 4, not likely to be from houses Bolton, Karkstark, Frey, Tully, or Serwyn. Number 5, expected to be in Robb's forces, so likely a soldier or bannerman. Number 6, very difficult to locate and not where they were expected to be. And last but not least, number 7, has information or poses a threat to Aegon's claim on the Iron Throne. Now, let's keep in mind Aegon is likely a Blackfire pretender whose claim is based on a lie would be decimated if another with a better claim showed up. There are exactly 2 people in Westeros who fit the criteria. Like many people in the fandom, Varys has somehow come to the same conclusion of R plus L equals J, and knows that a son of Rhaegar would have a better claim to the Iron Throne than Aegon. If R plus L equals J is correct, Jon Snow would have a better claim than Aegon, being the direct descendant of Rhaegar Targaryen. Both claimants would have the same baby-swapping backstory, but I don't think Jon is the target of the Faceless man. After all, he's completely clueless about his origins. His location is pretty well known due to serving in the Night's Watch. This is something Yoren would have been aware of when he left the Wall for King's Landing, and Jaqen wouldn't have tried to use Arya as bait to draw out his target. Jaqen could have just taken a boat to the north, made his way to the Wall if that was the case. The real target is the one who may know if R plus L equals J is true or not, and that man is Howland Reed. Howland is the only person alive who witnessed the events at the Tower of Joy. His home of Greywater Watch isn't in one set place and moves about, hence the Faceless men need to use a glass candle to locate him. Howland should have been fighting along the rest of Robb Stark's forces, being a Stark bannerman, but so far he's avoided doing so. With Howland's death, so too will die the knowledge of Jon's suspected parentage, and thus securing the claim for Aegon. We will see in future books if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but if Jon actually is the target and not Howland, that may be really bad news for Sam, who is also in Old Town. Thanks for watching, and if you have a theory you'd like me to go over, feel free to comment below or send me an email at askShaggydog@gmail.com.